Hey there, Rivermen fans. Welcome to another edition of Trudel's Take, presented by Health Alliance. Welcome back, Rivermen fans, to another edition of Trudel's Take. I'm Jason Ruff, joined once again, and as always, by Rivermen head coach Jean-Guy Trudel. Well, Guy, it's been a while. We're now finally in the first week of March. The playoff race begins for the league in earnest. I know we touched on this a little bit last year, but I always like to circle back to it. What are the benefits of locking in a playoff spot as early as you can for both the playoff perspective and a development and confidence issue?
I don't think confidence I really, for us as a hockey team, we take it one day at a time. Mm-hmm. We don't worry. Of course, you have at the beginning of the year, you have a set place where you think you'll need to be in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. In Peoria, over the years, we've been fortunate enough to always finish pretty high in the standings. So that's not one thing we really worry about. We worry about making sure that when the playoffs are close to start, that we're dialed in and, in consistent hockey in all three zones and doing the right things away from the puck and with the puck. So, of course, it's nice to know that that we're going to be clinching playoffs here soon, but it's not one thing that we really look at. We're more focused on what we have to do on the ice, and standings are for fans and other people to talk about. For us, it's just business as usual, trying to get better every single day.
Gives folks like me storylines to talk about. For you guys down here in the dressing room, it's more just a secondary issue. But you mentioned at the beginning of the year you have a set idea of where you want your team to be at each point in the season. Looking at this team right now, is it around where you thought at the beginning of the year that this team would be? Has it surprised you in what ways?
It did a little bit. I to be honest with you, we just spoke about it. We don't care about the record so much. Mm-hmm. If you would have asked me at the beginning of the year, I didn't think I was going to be 31-10, and
Yeah.
I didn't think our team were going to be there yet. But our record is great. I still don't feel like we're completely dialed in every single aspect of the game. I feel like our details, our habits, our our buy-in are here and there. As a coach, you look at a lot more than just an individual game. You look at a set of games. How do we do what we're doing with traveling? How do we play on the road? What do we do away from the puck? And all those little things that we call the 95%. Right now, I think maybe it's because it's dog days. I feel like we're cheating and being inconsistent a little bit in all our habits and our details that we usually pride ourselves on here in Peoria.
And how do you get those details hammered down more consistently 100% of the time so you consistently get that 95%?
And that's another thing. We haven't got a lot of ice here lately, and last year we didn't speak about it. We didn't want to make excuses, but the flu kind of came through the room, so we did not have one practice last week. This week there's no ice in Peoria at all with the figure skating going on in both rinks, and now we're trying to reach Pekin to see if we can get ice time at some point. So to me, that's where you get all your details and habits, and you especially at this league where it's mostly of a weekend league.
Yep.
So you have all week to kind of get dialed in, and lately we haven't been on the ice at all. So it's been hurting, but the good thing is in a few weeks here we have 2 weeks completely off of games. So we're gonna have a little mini training camp to make sure we get everybody else, especially the new guys on the team that just came in, to make sure that we're all connected in all three zones, doing the right things all the time.
And how imperative is good video for that process?
It is. We stopped a little bit lately just because I felt like one weekend I overloaded them a little bit on details that we had to do against a certain team, and then they had to think too much. Because a hockey player, you want to build it as part of your DNA and not have to think when the game starts. That is just there. And so it's just finding the happy medium between all those kind of things as a coach. But we're lucky. We have a great locker room and guys that are competitors that want to get better every single day. So as soon as we're able to get a little bit of practice time, I think we'll be back to where we need to be.
Looking back on this past week, and I want to really key in on that Friday game, because from our vantage point, and you feel free to correct me if you saw something different on the ice, but from our vantage point, that looked like a really solid game where you had a lot of guys finding and giving that 95%. Yes, it was a close game decided in literally the last second, but it seemed like there was a lot of good things for you to put on video and help with the development of this team. How did Friday's game really help with the development of this team, or can help in the future?
Yeah, I was happy. We had most of the team buy into what we are and into our identity, and we didn't do that the day before. And again, we can make any excuse you want, but we just didn't have enough guys healthy to kind of push through the third period there in Quad City. And it was nice for the guys to be a little upset at our loss and then come back. And, it wasn't a perfect game in any way, but at least we cared. We cared about when we didn't have the puck to block shots, to defend the right way. Our timing was better. Our net presence was better offensively, and all the little things that, brought us a lot of success over the years. And now we're still missing a few soldiers. I still feel like a few soldiers are on their own program. And once we put it all together and bring everybody together, and that's a coach's job, and that's, a leadership job to make sure that we bring everybody together to do the right things every day. And it was a good game, though. I mean, great ending for the fans. But even, win or lose that game, I was still pretty proud that we all bought into a certain, a certain way of playing. And we called the Peoria way, and I think the boys did real well.
Now, one of those soldiers you are going to get back is Ben Assad, just coming off the IR. How impactful will his presence be in that locker room now that he's back in the lineup?
Very. I told the guys, I think when it comes to game management and understanding the game, I think he's the best. He's not our most skilled, but when it comes to effort, we call him the honey badger. He doesn't stop. He goes after you. And when it comes to understanding what's needed, to change momentums or to do different types of things, he's the first to do it. And he's going to be a breath of fresh air. Because that's the thing as a coach. When you know exactly what to expect from a player, it's always really nice because you're consistent in knowing what you have to do with him and put him in a certain situation. We just want to get all the boys on that same page because it's hard when you don't know exactly what you're going to get. And I think we're at that phase of the year where consistency is missing a little bit, and it's hard to understand what we're going to bring the next day. And we want to get to that team that every single day we get out there and we put the same effort.
Right, and you have the boys off this week leading up to the Bloomington weekend. We'll get to that in just a second. But also you're going to have a full week off in March as well. A little bit of rest time and able to reset, recoup. I know we've talked a lot on this show about how those little breaks, you intentionally time them out at certain points of the season for everyone to kind of reset. You're a bit robbed of that break a little bit with the whole Vermilion County situation. How does this really highlight how important those breaks are mentally for a hockey player, you think?
I think so. As coaches, we squeeze and squeeze and squeeze and try to get as much as we can all the time. And I know as a player, what I do as a coach is what I wish coaches would have done when I played. I know it's a grind. The season is long. You're at the rink every single day for an 8-month span. So I believed, I think 4 or 5 years ago, I could see guys getting tired. And we get a lot of college guys at this level also, and they're used to, the rookies are used to a 30-game schedule, and here we're asking them to grind nonstop for 8 months. So it's very difficult with these 3 breaks. I feel like we have the Christmas, we have one before Christmas, and this one coming that just happened this week. I think it's really good. Like you said, it's just a reset button mentally, physically. A lot of guys go home. You see your family, you see your friends, because at the end of the day, we're all we ask a lot from these players, and they look like they just go and they're athletes, but they're still human. And it's kind of nice to have that little rest to kind of, like you said, reset, refocus. And when they come back, we're very fortunate this year. In March, we have the other break also that we're going to have like a mini training camp and a team bonding kind of thing to make sure we bring it all together for our last little 3 weeks kind of push towards the playoffs. And for us, it's about repeating. And when you're trying to repeat, a lot of teams come after you really hard. So we're going to have to be ready, and we're going to have to be better than last year because that's the only way we're going to win it this year.
It seems like that last break comes at a perfect time. Like you said, 3 weeks before playoffs, and then you're right involved in it. I couldn't ask for a better break because you get it too close to playoffs, then you're worried about a slow start. You get too late, then the benefits of that break seemingly wear off.
Yeah, and it's all, we talked about the story of the old farmer, my friend. Yeah. It's all maybe. It all depends how you take it.
Right.
Yeah, if the players do the right things and take that break as, okay, this is where we reset, we refocus, all the details, the habits, because, we live in a time where we're a highlight generation. Everything that's showed is all highlights and goals and assists, but we know, me and you, that if we don't block shots, if we don't defend real well, if we don't attach, if we don't do all those things defensively, we're not going to win any championships.
Right.
So, and that's a buy-in that we need from all players. And offensively, we know we're good enough to put up points on the board, and now it's defensively. How do we want to buy in and do the right things? And I think the boys will. And like you said, if we take the break the right way, I think it's going to benefit us tremendously. And that's like any teams. If you take it the right way and you do it the right things, and I love it. I think it's great for the players, and I think it's well deserved.
This is also the big month for college players finishing up their college careers and coming down to various pro leagues, including the SPHL. What do you look for in terms of college players? Because you've had some really good luck at guys you have brought in late and have been instrumental pieces moving forward. Caden Cahill, I think, is a perfect example of that, as is L.A. Grissom from last year.
Yeah, we, that's just... You build relationship like every coach. You build relationship with college programs, and then you try to bring your. I think it's more of a need thing. Mm-hmm. I think last year we needed a big defenseman that could play 23 minutes a game, and we thought LA was going to be a great defensive penalty kill. He actually brought a lot of offense that we did not expect, but he brought exactly what we wanted: leadership, block shots, defensively solid, physical. That's what we needed because we had great puck moving defensemen, but we needed that at a time. So for me, it's always recruiting kind of what you need at that time of the year. And right now we understand what we're missing and what we need, and that's what I'm looking at right now. The different levels of college hockey and even junior right now. We're looking around and trying to find that diamond in the rough, like you said, guys. People that people don't expect that they're going to be great at our levels. But to me, the pro game and the college game is completely different. You just have to find guys with the right attitude and the right buy-in. And I knew I was getting that with LA last year when he came in. I spoke to his coach blew me for a long time about LA, and I was so happy he picked us, and he was a blessing because without LA we don't win that championship.
Absolutely, and it's important to find those guys who are going to give that professional style effort, because effort, as we talked about a few weeks ago, effort is isolated. It's all up here.
It is, and that's what we talk about all the time. Like, any situation could be positive or negative depending how you take it.
Right.
And you had an L.A. Grissom come here, and the boys just fell in love with him. Why? Because he got that. I mean, He was really strong up here, and that's why on the ice he performed every single day, and he was consistent in his effort, that we knew exactly what to expect from LA game in, game out, and that's why LA right now is a regular in the ECHL and playing a lot of minutes for Greenville, and well-deserved, and he's just going to keep getting better. Why? Because you said it. Effort is isolated, and when it's up there, when you're strong up there, you can perform on the ice, and that's what we look for, just great people that want to be ready to do whatever it takes to bring another championship here in Peoria.
Well, the Rivermen looking to perform this Saturday night in Bloomington at Grossinger Motors Arena against the Evansville Thunderbolts. Should be an exciting matchup. Guy, what's the excitement level of you being able to go back to Bloomington, play a regular season game at Grossinger Motors Arena against an Evansville Thunderbolts team that has been just exciting hockey to watch whenever they've gotten together with Peoria?
Yeah, I'm excited. Bloomington's got a great facility. I think it's the perfect kind of size for the SPHL. I think it's 6,000 people. So even if you get 3,000 or 4,000 in there, it looks pretty packed, and they're right on top of you. And I think they have a great building for that type. So I'm excited to go to Bloomington. And as for Evansville, I told a lot of people, we always, since I've coached here, it doesn't matter who the coach was in Evansville or Pensacola. Those are the two teams over the years that always gave us trouble. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is, but this year, I actually told Jeff Best, the coach of Evansville, that's probably the best team we played this year, from goaltending to mature defensemen that don't make mistakes to forwards that can fly, that are heavy, that play the game the right way. So it's always fun to play. So for us, we love challenges. We love playing good teams, and that's why, unfortunately for us, when Vermilion left, it was tough for the league. But for me, as a competitor, it was kind of nice because, we picked up games against Pensacola. We picked up games against teams that were probably, good chance we see in the playoffs, and that's what you want. You want, great competition every single day to see where your team is at and what you have to get better at. Precisely
so. Again, Friday night at Grossinger Motors Arena. For those of you interested, tickets start at just $13. You can get them by calling 434-2777. Again, 309-434-2777. Guy, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure, my friend. We'll talk to you again on Saturday.
Love you, buddy. Good job.
It's been Jason Ruff with Rivermen head coach Jean-Guy Trudel for your weekly edition of Trudel's Take. We'll talk to you next time, Rivermen fans.